Anytime you head off into the wilderness alone, whether it's a multi-day backpacking trip or a simple day trip to fish a remote mountain lake, you just know the excursion is going to have a completely different feel to it. There's something about going solo, about heading off on an adventure on your own. The solitude, the independence, that sense of self-reliance. I'm not really sure if the experience changes who you are, or if who you are is why you do it in the first place. Regardless, it's exhilarating, and it feels like freedom. Preference, of course, is always for camaraderie, for someone to share the experience with. It's always nice to have a friend or two along. And there's a bit of a safety issue as well. Things can go wrong in the backcountry. It's good to be with someone you can rely on, someone who has your back. But ultimately, if no one else is able to make the trip with you, well, I just don't let things like that hold me back. For me, a big part of any fishing trip is the adventure. I like the challenge. Hiking or mountain biking long distances, that can really test your endurance. Sometimes you're battling the elements. You're dealing with steep, rugged terrain, crossing ice-cold rivers and streams. There's a certain amount of satisfaction that I get from overcoming things like that. Of course, things don't always go as smoothly as one would like. You get into that fast-moving water and it can really throw a wrench into your plans. It's easy to misjudge the current or how deep the water is. really like to get out and explore. I'm drawn to these remote places that few people have ever seen or fished. That usually means getting off the beaten track, or at least putting in more effort than the average person. But once you get out there, the solitude, simply mesmerizing. Not a soul around for miles. Of course, when you're out exploring unknown waters like this, you just never know what to expect. The hope is the fishing will be nothing short of spectacular, and it usually is. Sometimes you're catching one fish after another, sometimes it's a handful of nice big ones, and sometimes, well, let's just say that I was starting to wonder if there were any fish there at all. But then I made that long cast near a sunken log that was trailing out into deeper water. It's in places like this that it's easy to lose yourself in the moment. In such an adventure, the bonds of civilization are lifted, the yoke and trace are cast aside, and there appears, if but for a fleeting moment, that primordial sense that one is complete master of their own destiny. And it feels like freedom.